When did you realize you were attractive? When a few of my female friends told me I used to have such a crush on you in high school. In fact, a lot of girls did. I never knew about it, so I never made any passes at them and went through high school thinking I looked like a potato. My dad told me a story about a girl in his school. She was stunning. Apparently, all the boys wanted her, but no one was brave enough to ask her out. Eventually my dad decided what was the worst that could happen and asked her out. She jumped at the chance. She was convinced she was hideous because none of the other boys ever asked her out, but all her friends got dates. So dad took her to the movies. Unfortunately for dad, but fortunately for me, this opened the floodgates and suddenly every boy in school was asking her out and poor dad was forgotten. I was walking past some guys on campus throwing a frisbee and one guy missed it and said, "I'm sorry, I just got distracted by the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." He was hot. When I was told I was the highest quality meat at the gym by an absolute babe, I felt so objectified. It was great. Very recently, was out at a trivia night with a group of randoms from Meetup. The waitress was super hot and literally ignored the rest of the table whenever she came by, asking dude at the end of the table what they wanted to eat while still looking right past them at me, for example, and then made a point of coming to sit down with me while I finished up my drink after they all left. That was a nice feeling. As a more serious answer to the question, getting my first girlfriend helped a lot. I had no idea before that what about me would have been even remotely interesting to other people, but she was incredibly sweet and affirming and knew exactly what to say to make me feel better about myself. Because of her I started seeing how much progress I'd made socially, how much some of the things I'd been trying to do to get myself in better shape physically were actually paying dividends. Stuff like that. Now that that relationship has ended, I find myself doubting some of those things again from time to time, but I also realize that that could also just be me being self-defeating. Got out of a major depression. Gotta boost self-confidence and esteem. Learn to apply basic makeup and buy clothes that fit me and my personality. Looked in the mirror and smiled. My eyes were smiling too and thought, damn, is this how I've always looked or WTF just happened? When I was 16, had a case of ugly duckling syndrome imposed mostly by external environment. My high school boyfriend was legally blind. He could read text by wearing a thick lens and plastering it to his face, or get up real close. On a date he went almost nose to nose so he could see me, and when he did, his eyes just lit up. No faking that. It was very sweet. I dealt with weight issues from my senior year of high school, 2011, until about a year ago. I never looked great, was 5 feet 8 and 256 pounds. I changed my lifestyle, my eating habits and some of the negative influences I had in my life. Within the last year I lost 100 pounds and now weigh 156 pounds. I was at a bar about 6 months ago when I was weighing 175 pounds and looked a lot healthier, and for the first time ever a girl approached me at the bar and wanted to talk to me and showed actual interest. For me this is something that has never happened before and really threw me off. It also was the first time I truly felt like I was doing something 100% right in my life. From then on I really stuck to my diet and working out, and I feel much better about myself and my confidence has gone way up. So for the purpose of clarity I'm gonna have to do away with any kind of humility. So I realized I was kind of attractive when people that I thought were attractive seemed romantically interested in me. I wasn't a good looking or cool kid, but when I hit 16 I started getting way more attention from girls that I thought were hot. When I hit 19 I knew I had become really attractive because, and this is something that I was only able to recognize because I'd seen it happen with a buddy of mine who had always been a good looking guy. People would talk about it, my good looks, as if it were fact or a foregone conclusion. I think that's when you know someone's really good looking. When you go out to the club and other guys assume that the hottest girls are interested in you, or girls assume you've got a long list of other girls lining up for a date, or people say things like you should be a model. Another big one from when I was younger, early 20s, was older women and gay men will just straight up say it. I think it's because they know you're probably not interested in them, so the uncomfortability of rejection is taken off the table so they can be very open, but yeah, they'll just blurt it out like it ain't a thing. I'm not attractive, but a girl did scream "Hey, you're cute" at me while I was pumping gas the other night. I'm sure she was drunk, but I'll be riding that ego boost for at least the next 3 months. Well, I guess it all started the first time I went through the 2nd grade. I caught my reflection in a spoon while I was eating my cereal, and I remember thinking, wow, you're ridiculously good looking. Maybe you could do that for a career. I went to a gay bar and drank for free. I have a really vague perception of how I look. I honestly don't know, but I thought I was ugly right up until I reached my early 20s. Because boys wouldn't approach me. I think it's because I look a lot younger than I actually am. So when I reached 21, I finally looked legal. I was approached by easily the most handsome man I've ever met, and we dated for 2 years. That was a massive confidence booster for me. So although I still don't know how attractive I actually am, that was the first time I realized I wasn't ugly. When I looked back at my school years and all the times girls would run to me just for a hug, all the time in schools when my groups consisted of mostly girls, or when I was in school struggling to decide which girl I liked most because so many of them were being super nice to me. When I first started working a year ago at my current job, I didn't talk to anyone. One day 2 girls tell me to hang out with them during break. Became friends, added them on the good old Facebook and messaged them for a good month. Eventually find out they stopped being friends for a while and had a huge argument over me about who saw me first and basically had dibs on me. I felt like a piece of meat, a handsome piece of meat. When I was a teenager, girls would giggle around me. I thought they were making fun, but one day I was hanging out with a friend and it happened. I wanted to leave. He asked why, then thought I was joking. Brief confusion, sudden realization, total upheaval of my entire paradigm. Edit for clarity. I wanted to leave because I thought they were making fun of me. He thought I was joking when I said those girls over there are making fun of me. Because if I had actually made eye contact, I would see that they weren't looking at me with disdain but with interest. My dad started pointing out how many girls were checking me out whenever we were in public. I was always oblivious to it, mostly because I was in a long-term relationship and never really cared. Initially I laughed at the notion, but a few of my girlfriends have started to point out the same. Only over the last year or so, when multiple people started telling me you could do better when showing pictures of exes that I deemed to be attractive. When reasonably attractive girls asked me out. When my mates started telling me that I'm a good looking dude. I didn't have my first kiss till I was nearly 21. I was a late bloomer and definitely not attractive in school. I still don't entirely believe it, to be honest, but enough people are telling me that I'm starting to. So hey ho. Dunno when it really was. When I was younger, pre-high school years, I was shy and awkward. I blame this on being raised by my grandma. I loved her to death, but being a grandma's boy is not good, haha. In high school it was better. Still was awkward with girls, but I got a girlfriend in junior year. That was probably a good sign. I guess I always felt reasonably attractive but not real confident about it. I'd say in my early 20s it hit me that I'm actually pretty good looking. Not super handsome, but as the years went on, 35 now, I started to notice it more and more. So yeah, I'm ducking handsome. Damn it. To be honest, a lot of it came down to social anxiety. I was never equipped growing up with the skills to be comfortable with girls. My grandfather passed when I was 6, so my only male role model was my uncle, but he was not around often. He served in the army, plus he lived in Wisconsin while my grandma and I were in Texas. So I guess as my personality developed and grew, that helped out a lot. I'm really good at making people laugh, which is a great skill. I'm also good at rambling. When a guy who incessantly bullied me as a kid for being fat tried to hit on me as an adult, he didn't recognize me, turned him down in front of all of his friends. Best feeling ever. A really cute girl in my psych class put her hand on my shoulder in a conversation once, gave it a squeeze and then glanced at my shoulder. She made this little oh sound. Her eyes kinda glazed and she started just kinda holding her hand there, lightly squeezing. I was pretty uncomfortable about it at this point and asked if she was okay. She just sorta smiled and said yeah, much better thanks, pats my shoulder and turns away. I asked another girl what that was about and she just said really? Girls like hot guys. Honestly, I think most of it comes down to confidence. We had this guy in high school who was kinda unattractive appearance wise. He wasn't straight up ugly, but we all agreed that he definitely wasn't anything special, but still got a ton of girls because he knew how to flirt and make girls laugh. Legit the funniest dude I've ever met. Sure, he got friend-zoned a couple of times, just like the rest of us, but I'm pretty sure he had like 3 different girlfriends, 2 of which were the ones who were considered to be the hottest girls at our school throughout high school, and you would never see him anywhere without at least 2 girls following him or talking to him. You don't have to look like Chris Hemsworth or Henry Cavill to get girls. You just gotta have confidence and the mental strength to keep going, even if you get rejected a couple of times along the way.